Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Beyond Sports Podcast, where we BS about sports. Today, we've got Matt, Sam, and Sneaky with us, and I'm Tim, obviously. Quite a bit of news this week.
Everybody knows.
Good week.
Nothing crazy, but some good stuff came out. Starting off in the NFL, we got the Kyler clause with the taking out the studying film.
Alaclaus.
What a hot mess. That dude is never going to live that down.
No, I don't think so.
He's going to have to go like MVP or a Super Bowl.
He might if he does that. Maybe if he does that.
Yeah.
He's going to have to do a lot to overcome that now.
My question is like, okay, you put the clause in, then everybody finds out about it. It causes a distraction you didn't know that would cause. And
Bullshit.
if you take it out, like, what good does taking it out do? Like, it empowers, if he does have a problem watching film already, doesn't that just empower that behavior of him whining about it?
Yep.
Not saying that
he whined. The whole thing looks bad on all sides, right? And shows the Cardinals' ineptitude as an organization.
had they been able to get that clause out of the contract before it went public, like, yeah, because they were like, that might cause a problem and a distraction, but like,
look,
we all saw it, so now it's just going to lead us to a different thought.
This is a clause that has never been put into an NFL contract before, ever. They've never. There have been like. There's some with like weight stuff, right? Like that we've seen where you have to meet certain weights.
Yeah, workout goals.
See that all the time. Like we just see with maybe Zion in the NBA has us. Yeah. But never have we seen a homework clause. We've never seen you must do homework. And not only that, but what we're asking you to do is like what most elite quarterbacks eat for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Like 4 hours of independent film study. They're like, of course.
And no
like,
video games during it.
Peyton Manning would have been like, so you want me to be done by lunch on Monday? But I got 5 more days to watch film. Like, why wouldn't I use those?
I've got a whole week, right?
And up until 25, make it a challenge.
So as an organization, whether it came from the owner or the GM, who have, I'm sure, both looked at plenty of NFL contracts, right? Who knew that other GMs and other people around the league would be looking at this contract like they do with most contracts that of this magnitude.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to the GM, the owner, whoever went to their legal team, whoever writes up that contract, right? The people who actually type that shit up, and said, you are going to have to come up with specific language to put in a homework clause, essentially.
Yeah.
To tell him to do this and specify no video games, no TV, no browsing the internet. And you expect again, this hasn't happened. They're not copy pasting this part from another contract that's been done before.
No, I mean,
you got to go up to these guys and say, we need specific language in this contract that tells him to do his homework and make sure he does it.
Well, I mean, he did.
And you don't think that that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. There.
And Kyler's side, where he's like disrespected by how much people say, like, what did you think the media would think of that?
Kyler Murray told Time Magazine in 2020, I believe.
New York Times
that he
New York Times in 2021, just last year.
Okay, that he does not.
He doesn't feel like he has to kill himself watching tape, is what he said.
Because he has such good instincts out there on the football field. So it's like, I mean, you told us this.
And then Kyler Murray.
Is that what that rainbow pass out of your own end zone was in the playoffs?
Right. Yeah. To the team.
We saw that last week.
I'm sure Carson Wentz plays off his instincts as well. I mean,
we see where that gets him. But so to the Cardinals side, like, you knew what you were doing, Cardinals. You knew that this is something that was unprecedented. You had to have known that it was what the optics were going to be somewhat, and that it, like, clearly you didn't, because you, anyways. And to Kyler's side, Kyler, you signed this contract. Like
But
you
Also-
could have thought maybe like, oh well, they'll just ask me to do the bare minimum. I do this anyways. Give me that money, right? I get that, but that's not really what Kyler said when he came out. Kyler
Well,
wasn't like, well, of course I signed that. That's nothing to me.
Maybe they didn't
did
read the
Kyler was
fucking
Kyler
contract.
playing video games while he was signing his contract?
Right?
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
maybe they
While
just
his,
didn't-
Distracted.
maybe they missed that part in the contract because
While his agent was reading-
Well, his agent might have been
Missed that
relaying
part.
it to him while over Xbox Live. You know, something.
Typing it out in messages.
And you know how hard it is to hear somebody. whenever,
right.
like, you're-
Well, yeah,
And-
exactly. And then he reads off that part to him right as Kyler gets a headshot, and he's like, "Yeah, shit, yeah, dude." And he's like, "Oh, I guess that's cool with him. I guess that's cool with
Yeah,
So
dude, he's teabagging the.
I was about to
8-year-old
say.
against Pop.
He's like, hold on, I'm teabagging somebody. I'll read the
Yeah,
contract
dude.
in a minute.
Kyler Murray just blanks out after he heard, 160 guaranteed. It was like
I would. I
white
mean,
noise after that. He was like, "Yeah, dude, that's sorry, what?" For me, he was like, "Hold up." The guy that like has only had one playoff game and it went terribly. That's you want to give that
you
money
sure
to?
that's not what DeAndre Hopkins is going to be getting?
Fine, let's sign. Yeah,
So
dude.
leaving Deshaun Watson out of it, which quarterback do you think is under the most heat coming into the season now?
Now it's Kyler.
Yeah, it's
Kind
got to be
of.
Tyler now, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Kyler.
Like in the entire
Yeah.
NFL under the most
Yeah.
heat, I mean, Daniel Jones has got to be hot too. I mean,
Yeah.
You
He,
can-
he
you can-
is.
you got to. I mean, look what Brian DeBall did for Josh Allen when he took over in Buffalo. A lot of people are expecting that him.
So
being
I guess
able to do that
as
pretty hot as well. I mean, I'm not saying it's as hot as Kyler, but
it's two different perspectives of if you mean hot, but as in who is playing for their job this year hot, then Kyler's not really, he obviously doesn't have to worry about that part
Who's under
now.
the most pressure?
Kyler a little bit just because, yeah, he
That's a
has
big
to.
contract.
And not only does Kyler have
Called
to
out for not studying.
look,
with
if the
160
Cardinals,
million guaranteed, I mean that alleviates a lot of it. He's already got.
he's not playing for it. Yeah, he's not playing.
Cliff
for it.
Kingsbury, I think, is under more pressure than Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Even though Cliff signed an extension,
Yeah,
right? This offseason or the offseason before?
easier to
think this
pay
offseason.
off that
Yeah.
coaching contract down the line than it is that quarterback's 160.
Yeah, it is a lot easier.
Well, the
They
coaching,
definitely tied
coaching
this up.
salary doesn't even come out of the cap. So
No.
Mm-mm.
So, but yeah, so I'd say Daniel Jones is under a lot of pressure. in New
Daniel
York.
Tua is under more pressure
Tua's
than
under a lot.
Tyler in that sense.
Jalen-
So is
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen. Yeah, these guys are actually like playing for their job. Like if you
Yeah.
don't do well this year, that's on you now.
I put more pressure on probably Jalen and Daniel than Tua just because the fan base is guaranteed to be there all season and be ruthless all season. Philly and New
Yeah,
York
for
aren't known to
Philly.
be
Trubisky, he could be under a little bit there.
Yeah, but Trubisky, you're kind of already like a bag up.
True.
Yeah, you're that
I mean, this is your
stopgap guy.
last chance, but
actually-
you're not expected. Like it's kind of the same thing with Daniel Jones. Of like these guys aren't really expecting. We're not expecting a ton out of you. So like,
Yeah. Well, and I was reading
kind of already lost the job.
before our call that people have been pretty impressed with Mason Rudolph too. So he's technically still in the running to win that job, though I don't see it happening.
is Mason a guy though? Like, is Mason really?
I don't think
You
I
so.
know he's a battering ram, but he's
So
Yeah, he's got that part on lock. But is he somebody who's going to really get your team?
I wouldn't think so. The last
Is he the reason you got smashed by Kansas City in the playoffs last year? Is because if only you had Mason Rudolph instead of Big Ben in his last year?
I mean, the last couple times that we've seen Mason, he's been pretty poor out there. Like it's not like
Yeah, and he's
it's not like he gave him a lot of confidence. I mean, they drafted a quarterback in the first round with a young quarterback.
at best.
has it been a little rough for Kenny Pickett?
they're not expecting him to start right away. I think they said if things go poor halfway through the season, he may start. But in that
Yeah, I
story
think
I
it's-
was reading about Mason Rudolph, they
Pittsburgh
talked about that.
traditionally does. Obviously, it's been a long time since they've had a young quarterback, but I mean, Ben Roethlisberger went in because of injury. after week 1. That's the only reason he started.
Mhm.
But
And a lot of people are
Yeah.
actually expecting that Trubisky's going to start, and if Trubisky goes down, it's not going to be Mason Rudolph. It's going to be Kenny Pickett. So
you know,
And it could depend like at what point in the year that happens.
yeah,
too.
I mean, if
But
it's
yeah, I
week
definitely-
1,
Let him sit, but give Mitch a little chance. We know Mitch can at least do if he's put on a good team, right? If he's given a good system, he
he was
can
able to get
be
to the playoffs with
he
Matt
can-
Nagy.
Well, I feel like
Win
Pittsburgh
with
isn't
him.
under a lot of pressure to win this year. Like they can take the time to develop him,
Yeah.
yes,
not throw him
Do
out
it.
there
do it.
and ruin.
Look at what happens when you give
And it's not a bad situation to be in. I mean, you look at you're in on a playoff team where they were a playoff team with throwing ducks, Roethlisberger out there. So just
yeah, man.
you just got to be
You-
mediocre at the quarterback position to really do well in Pittsburgh this year.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, any
that's
good team.
That's a killer ass division.
Oh yeah, it is. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
on paper,
you're gonna need a quarterback that elevates you like Lamar does, like Joe Burrow's going to. So you're gonna need somebody who can compete. And we doubt it's Trubisky. Definitely not Mason Rudolph. We have no idea about Kenny Pickett though.
Well-
Could be. Who knows? Maybe this guy comes up and tears up the league, but definitely let him sit and watch Mitch, who went through a lot, who's gone through a lot in the league and who has to know. Like this is his third team that he's already been on in like 5 years. It's how many different systems has he had now? Right? At least 3. I don't know how many he went through in Chicago.
because he got drafted under John Fox, I believe, right? Or was that under? Yeah, it was under.
No, I thought him and Nagy started off.
I thought
at the
Nagy
same
came
time.
second season.
you
Assuming Nagy
remember?
did
Do you
well
guys
the first
remember
year.
earlier this year when Cowherd did those blind quarterback resumes, and he did Trubisky versus Baker, and they're like in their career they're almost identical.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the only thing that's a little different is TD to interceptions, but they're still percentage wise about the same. But Trubisky's 29-21 wins loss. Baker's 29-30.
Man, Trubisky, they like what won
John
12
Fox.
games that one year?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So yeah, John Fox was the coach when he was
He
drafted.
was that first year. Okay, then they got Nagy the next
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's right because EB's first year as our offensive coordinator was Mahomes' first year starting.
Yeah.
So that would be 2018, which would have been Mitch's second year as well. Because
Yeah, because it was his first
Mahomes
solo
was
year.
saying.
as OC.
okay,
so let's move on. The Kyler clause kind of goes into the statements made by Mahomes, because those statements were made because of a lot of criticism
Kyler
towards
clause,
Kyler.
Yeah.
The stuff over black quarterbacks.
and kind of the criticism on that Mahomes got himself.
Yeah,
of
that's
where
true.
Where did that criticism come from?
I actually have that quote pulled up. It was what a GM that said it, or was it a
It
defensive
was a
coordinator?
DC.
DC.
Yeah, defense. Yeah,
He said, "We love Mahomes because of his unorthodox throws, not because of his natural pocket presence. And when that disappears, that's when they lose games. I don't think that is a 1. I think that's a number 2. Nothing against the guy. I love the kid, but take his first read away, and what does he do? He runs, he scrambles, and he plays street ball.
And throws touchdowns.
so that is
And
also
like a 93 quarterback rating after his first read.
right. Yeah, no,
Right,
that he
yeah.
was like first in every category statistically after his first read since he's been in the league.
Yeah. I love when PFF jumps in and they're like, actually.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah, the
I love PFF
all the
because
stats say otherwise, guy.
Now,
like, if you're gonna say some shit like that, put your name on it.
right. You
Yeah.
don't- I'm going to be anonymous when I say it.
Yeah, same,
Well, the
same with the guy who's
the
talking crap on Lamar anonymously. Like,
yeah, and now to be fair, the article like in the Atlantic, they always do this poll anonymously. But yeah, you also know that like, oh, I'm anonymous now, so now I can start shit talking.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of what we saw a little bit with it. And yeah, that street ball stuff, that stuff like, oh, he doesn't actually know how to read defenses or break down or, go to his next read or do any of that stuff. It all does play into the same stereotype of black quarterback of not, they're not as smart as the white ones. They're not going to be able to read the field and have it in between the ears like they should.
Right.
So yeah, I understand why Mahomes would definitely come out in defense of himself and Kyler, of
So
course.
yeah, his quote on the black quarterbacks is he was asked if black quarterbacks are evaluated differently in the NFL. He said, I don't want to go that far and say that. I mean, obviously the black quarterback has to have a battle to be in the position that we are, to have this many guys in the league playing. I think every day we're proving that we should have been playing the whole time. We've got guys that think just as well as they can, use their athleticism. So it is weird when you see guys like me, Lamar, Kyler kind of get on them and other guys don't. But at the same time, we're going to go there and prove ourselves every day to show that we can be some of the best quarterbacks in the league. Great statement, I think.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is.
I love my quarterback, man.
Yeah.
I know, right? Every time he opens his mouth,
You,
he's just
you
like,
just so picture me saying that whole quote, but sounding like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
And boom,
Right,
got
yeah.
it.
Got it.
It's
The
just
But he's right though.
the amount of bulletin board material in that locker room this year, good God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Like,
I think same with Baltimore. I mean, you're looking at there's two MVP winning quarterbacks that have been disrespected a bunch this offseason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, same stuff is said about Lamar too, of like,
the dog, dude. I like
oh,
Lamar.
he's not. And look, man, even if like Lamar doesn't have quite the passing skills that the other guys have, if he can open up his receivers by like with the threat of his legs and doing those other things and doing it a different way, who gives a shit? At the end of the day, like, is he winning you that ball game and making the plays to win that ball game? He is. Okay.
I mean, yeah, he gets Mark Andrews wide open down the middle. You don't have to hit Mark Andrews right in the face. You just got to put it near him, and
he can
does
go
that.
Grab it.
He does that.
Rashad Bateman
right?
could have a big year this year. Their first round pick from last
Oh
year.
yeah.
I think he should be on watch. He could be without a Brown there. So
Yeah.
I like, and I mean, Kyler could also have a good year for the other reason because he does have Brown.
Mhm.
Him and
Man.
Hollywood were good friends, roommates.
Tell you what, week 1 is going to be interesting with the Chiefs and Cardinals because no matter what happens, it's going to be overblown one way or the other. If we lose, it's like, oh shit, Mahomes, no Tyreek, yeah, especially if Mahomes like does poorly or something, right? That's going to be just the only story for it. If
he didn't watch film.
Yeah, if Cardinals he did, and Kyler is now trapped for the whole year because what's Kyler and Cliff and them known for is falling apart at the end of the season. So even if he does well and wins, it goes 10-2 again for the first stretch, and then shits the bed at the end of it. Oh, there's him not watching film, not studying because the league's now figured him out, but he's not smart enough to go back and watch the tape and dissect and try to figure out how to,
Yeah, and they don't have DeAndre
that
Hopkins
next step.
for the first 6 weeks.
that's rough.
So
Good for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously
does
for every
better.
team who plays in week 1 through 6.
hey, yeah.
All right, let's move on to Deebo and DK getting paid.
That's
Congrats.
good for them. Good for
Pretty
them.
similar deals.
Yeah.
I thought DK's was going to be larger, kind of the same with Deebo's, just to get him just to get closer to like Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. Not that they are as good as those guys, and I didn't expect them to get as much, but I thought it'd be a little closer just because if you look at the QB market, some guys that aren't, maybe worth it are getting paid more than guys that,
The one thing to look at with them,
do a pure panic over their quarterbacks, and so people are just throwing money at whoever can throw a ball.
yeah. I think the thing that's important with DK and Deebo's contracts compared to like Tyreek and Devontae is Devontae and Tyreek are on their second after the rookie deal contracts. this was their rookie extension. Whenever Tyreek signed his, it was, I think, 3 years and 50 something.
Mhm.
You know, so like typically that first contract after is a little smaller and shorter, and then they sign as they get older, because they,
Sometimes depends,
you know, like a young player shouldn't,
but you do want to
doesn't-
re-up in a few years, right? Like you do,
especially
want
at that
a little bit
position where
shorter.
that market keeps rising. It's a smart investment. And
Right. Tyreek and Devontae are looking for a little more longevity.
yeah, because they're at a different, you know, they're
Point in
getting
their
closer
career,
to their
sure.
30s. So they want
Yeah.
that extra
just
year or
thought-
two of control.
I thought, with the guarantees that Devontae and Tyreek got, that you would see those dudes getting, I don't know, at least like 100 G's or so for
yeah.
that. I don't, that was, anyways, I thought they'd get more like at 27 a year, right?
Need
27,
to see
28.
more from both, I think. Mainly Deebo, I want to see more
Yes.
from
Probably, but
as a pure receiver.
wide receivers are getting overpaid. So I figured they'd get overpaid,
Yeah, I mean,
I think
but they didn't.
I think they did
I feel
overpay.
like-
I think they did overpay DK a little bit.
Not really. Not in this market.
I
In
think
this
that's,
market, that's a bargain. It seems like for me. I don't know.
I mean, Christian Kirk got
Debo, yeah, look at come on, man. And Debo Debo's I get a little just because he's only had that one great season, although he's gotten better each year, and you can kind of
Yeah.
see like the more they've used him, just the more he's gone off, of course. So I guess I can see that, although you still could use him as a running back, maybe. Is there going to be a clause? Is there going to be a running back clause?
yeah, I don't think you're going to see him line up at running back. I would put the over under it, like actually lining up at running back 20-25 snaps this year, maybe.
I think he'll still find a way to be back there, because I think he knows that a lot of his
No,
production.
he doesn't want to be back there. He flat out does not want to be back there.
He doesn't.
That's gonna put his career in the fucking ground real quick.
Yeah, it doesn't add time to his career, that's for sure. I mean, I'm not going to argue that.
No, there's a reason running backs are only in the league for about 4 or
Hey,
5 years.
But he
Watch him
could
do-
line up back there a lot more,
Okay.
and not take handoffs.
What you're
you know,
going to
like,
see, you're
passes out
going
of
to
the
see him
flat.
do
Well, then why are you putting him back there?
Still a threat.
receiver screens, a lot of jet sweeps.
Typically,
still
running backs
use
get
Deebo
matched
as a
up with
rusher, but-
linebackers.
I don't want to take my highest paid receiver and stick him in the backfield. That's
But I mean, you could.
like you're just
You
that's
do when it's Debo.
That, I mean, it's fine when you're not paying him a ton of money. Like if he goes down, you're not out anything except a player. They
Very
just
good
paid
player.
him a shit ton of money. They don't
Yeah.
want him getting injured on a fucking run up the middle.
Yeah, but they want to get that production out of him too, though.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
look how
that's-
I
good
bet
he
they
is when
do,
he
but I bet
does
they'd rather
that.
have him on the field.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of stopped doing it with Tyreek the last
little
couple of
bit.
years.
A little
Just-
bit. We still gave him, so we would still have him do shit.
Like if that player
I
comes
mean, he would do like jet
tackle,
sweeps, but he stopped kind of lining up in the like
He never
like
lined
a
up the
running.
backfield too much. I guess he did.
No, but he did like early in his career. He did quite a bit.
We stopped using him as a returner as much. for
Yeah, we
sure.
stopped using that.
We
for sure.
definitely stopped using him as a returner so much because
Well, I
that's
mean,
what
you
he
got-
really was his first year.
4 other dudes on the team that could do it at a high level. I mean, it's not like we were shallow at that position.
No.
at return
Andy
specialist.
Reid never is.
Yeah, so that makes sense with, San Francisco's not deep in the running back room. This
On the
isn't
right
their
back.
this isn't that Super Bowl year where they were deep there. They constantly get injuries. So I think, yeah, their intentions may not be to go into the season giving him as many touches as he had, but I think at a certain point he'll be getting
You're
touches again.
Yeah, like because
It's-
you got to give your best player the ball.
Yeah, history, and I mean that adds another element with Trey Lance there, that quarterback being more mobile.
Mhm.
I mean, that could be a fun dynamic with those two lined up. I mean,
Yeah, man. Maybe they found their Mahomes and Hill thing, but
Yeah.
you know,
and
we'll
they
see.
got Kittle to be their Kelce, Kelce light.
Exactly. Kelce light.
So
The chairs also-
Kittle is great, though. I'm not knocking him.
He
No,
is.
He's just not Kelce.
he's
He's
just not.
Nobody is right now.
Nobody's got it. It's fine. Yes, sir. That's a lot to ask. Somebody
Yeah,
to be
dude,
able
I
to
mean-
say. Sure. Squeaking off.
Yeah.
So we can move on to, we've got a little bit of stuff coming out of training camp. We could start with the Commanders' real low turnout there.
Man,
About 12 people.
I really want to see somebody like cut
Now
footage of that
Where the pictures?
turnout in
They're the
with
pictures.
the opening to Major League.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say, like,
You got the Japanese groundskeepers talking about, oh, they're still going to be shitty.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was like 16 people from the two photos combined. Don't know if
That's
those.
pretty bad.
Don't
Well,
know
hey,
if
two of those
those
chairs
two-
were empty.
Yeah, I don't know if those two guys from the first picture were also pictured in the second picture.
Are we gonna put those up? Right. I
Oh,
assume.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Those will go up.
Just amazing. Just
I mean, it's just in contrast. You look at like the LA Chargers. Look at their training camp photos, and you would expect.
okay.
You
Okay,
would,
the Chargers had more people at their training camp than they do
they-
their home games.
yeah.
Usually.
Well,
Like,
especially
it's
whenever they
insane.
played in the soccer stadium.
Like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, they had a.
How did
really
they get
good
that many
turnout.
people at training camp? Where'd those people? Where'd the fans come from? Why aren't you at the game?
Yeah. Training camp's a lot more affordable, I will say.
I guess I don't know.
And you get a lot better view of.
Is it more accessible? I guess you get more access to the players, maybe.
Maybe
Let's
that
talk
was
about
maybe
how
that's
cringy Russ Wilson is. Like, this dude makes my
That
stomach
is not a
hurt.
biased take, though.
He
You guys
makes
ever
my
have
stomach
you guys ever
hurt.
seen that bread commercial that he did?
uh-uh.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily like a commercial. It was like a just like
They
a
said they
TV
were
spot.
educational.
Yeah. He got sued, I saw for it.
Yeah, I see they got sued.
For what? Really? I'm trying to find. Yeah, I'm just trying to find the
Bleacher
the video.
Report.
Let's talk about him showing up to
Well-
camp looking like the world's biggest douchebag, rocking his own jersey. That was a throwback, so he had it custom made. And then to top it all off,
He
the
had to
douchebag
climb a
comes-
ladder out of his truck.
Yeah, the douchebag then comes out onto the field while the rest of his teammates are in shorts with an untucked practice jersey in full fucking uniform, jersey tucked, helmet on.
Came out in full
Looked like he
fucking
was wearing
pads.
Get the fuck out of here! What a
I was like,
nerd!
Full
dude,
fucking
go
pads.
away. The Steve Urkel.
Game jersey and everything, dude.
What a nerd!
Oh, that dude got picked on in high school.
It's just like, what are we doing? What are we compensating for? Like,
That's your
what are we
quarterback.
trying to prove? What the fuck? I'm gonna come out in my jersey, right? Out of my giant custom fucking huge ass on a lift truck that is like, you're definitely compensating for something with that guy. Like that is that's a big old truck. And then the full pads. What the fuck?
The full,
And-
that was like
and the press conference, everything I do, everything I'm asked to do, I do like 4 times the amount, or whatever.
Right.
Like,
now if you're Russell Wilson's
right.
teammate, you feel like an underachiever for doing what's asked of you.
yeah.
Like they're gonna come out
And
there
you're
and
just
be like, next day they're like, do we gotta wear fucking full pads now? Like in full uniform just because this dickhead did it? Fuck. Can we have Drew Lock back? That dude didn't give a fuck.
It's a sign of a great leader when you can make half your teammates eye roll in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, all they had to do was check Twitter to see how you arrived. And like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah, so there were at least 30 or 40 guys that were like, this motherfucker. Jesus Christ. It's
Oh,
I love it though.
gonna be
I
a
love
long
it.
season, guys.
One of the best stories out of training camp was just how cringy Russell Wilson
you
is.
have on the
Right.
flip side, you have Aaron Rodgers showing up as fucking Nick Cage from Con
From
Air,
Con Air.
Yeah.
looking all badass and shit. And you're like,
That
That
was
dude
still a little
into the
cringe
weird.
though.
Dude, that was very cringe because that like video of him arriving
It's
was
just so
very
like
manicured and
cinematic.
set up and
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And like if him and he just like drops a bag in the middle of a parking lot. that
Yeah.
you would just like never like the whole thing was just like super unnatural and just like okay, so you got somebody to like set it up and be like, all right, you're gonna film me walking up here and dropping my bag and like dude, come on
flashy
man. About it. Like
So okay, answer this. I don't want to hit you on the heart here, P.
yeah.
But what's more cringe, Russ, or I'm taking my talents to South Beach because that's pretty cringe. When you go on live television.
All right, it's a little different.
He did
It's a
that for
little
the
different.
kids, okay? He
I
did that for the
know.
children. He did it for
Yeah.
the Boys and Girls Club
Yeah.
of America.
He put on like a 2-hour fucking special
Yeah,
But it
for the-
was-
so that he can announce where so he could spend the last 5 minutes announcing where he was going. And get bullshit. And
I soaked up every minute of it back then. But like thinking back on it now, it's a little cringe.
It's
It
very,
was.
even LeBron regrets it. He was like, "Yeah, I should have
Yeah.
handled that differently." Like LeBron knows
wasn't
that
even,
shit
like, the
was
most
super
cringe
cringe.
Like, hey,
part of the-
hometown, fuck
Hey.
you. I'm gonna go win a title.
It wasn't even like the biggest, like the whole fucking like welcoming party that they had. That was more cringe.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly,
Not one, not two.
So what we're
I think,
saying
I think
is
a large
Russ.
part of the
Yeah.
blowback was just the way he said it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
South
It's like,
Beach.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and then the not one, not two. Should have
Yeah.
stopped. Should have
I
stopped.
think
at not
even
one,
all
but
that
two.
stuff was fine. Like that's just like that's
Guys
regular
talking.
like I'm like
Sure.
athlete confident smack talk.
Yeah.
Saying I'm gonna take my talents to South Beach. You could have just said I've decided to go to Miami
Yeah.
and could have gotten 50% less hate.
They were gonna.
But what we're saying is
Oh, he
Russ
was
is
gonna
a
get
little more
blowback no
cringe.
matter what.
The
but like
TV
the
thing
level,
was a huge thing, you know. Like he should have
Yeah.
just sent an email to, because I mean,
It sh-
shit, but
It should have
honestly,
been
like,
shown on ESPN.
They were
Like,
going to drag
somebody
it
said,
back.
hey,
Look what happened to Kevin Durant, and he did it on the Players Tribune. It's when he announced he was going to the Warriors. I mean, they're just going to drag these dudes because they're
Yeah.
like, you're not loyal. But it's like, is the organization ever loyal?
no.
Yeah. So like, fuck the loyalty. Make your money.
yeah.
If you don't think you're gonna, Cleveland wasn't giving him the best shot to win, so it's like go to Miami.
Oh no, definitely. He had
asked for
nobody
Amari
else around
Stoudemire,
him.
Chris
So.
Bosh, and they gave him Antoine Jameson. So,
Yeah.
all right, dude, fuck you, Cleveland.
And I mean,
Ours are not trying to go live in Cleveland.
yeah,
And then
dude.
he came back though. He came
yeah,
back.
he came back
He
and
won
got him a
them the
championship.
He made up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got them that championship. Still the only one Cleveland's seen in like 70 fucking years. Or
Shit,
something.
even before then, he was the only one. He got them to the playoffs.
He got him to
basically
the
by himself.
finals. Yeah, he got
Finals,
to the
yeah.
finals all on his own. I mean, his starting
Yeah.
lineup had I think Jamari Moon in it.
Got him swept in the finals, and I'm excited to see how Nick Wright tries to defend that he's the best player of all time next week.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. Let's jumping
move on.
back to
All right.
Training camp with the
Training
Josh
camp.
Allen fight. It's more of a scuffle. But,
I'm
Okay.
gonna watch the scuffle. Well,
yeah, you watch the
Watch.
scuffle
pull it up, watch the scuffle until
because my God, Josh Allen is soft. Yeah. It's the smallest little bump. Did you see it, Sneaky?
Oh, that little bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bump. I mean, I know, okay, you're not supposed to touch your quarterback.
he's in red, right? So
He's wearing the red jersey. But come on.
okay.
Come
Maybe
on.
don't sneak it up the middle then.
Yeah.
All right. Here, look.
Fuck you.
First of all, like it's a little training camp bump pushing around, right? A little scuffle happens
But
all the time. Happens
Players are
at
getting hot. They're
every
ready to
training
hit each
camp.
other.
It's the end of week 1, right? They're already like, especially the vets, they're already fucking over it with training camp and how hot it is, right? I think Josh is trying to get everybody like that. He's the leader. He's got to get everybody like a little more motivation to fucking be there right now.
I just don't
But
think
he's
that.
like-
I honestly, in the moment,
He's
I
just trying to
don't
wake
think
him
that
up.
it went through his head.
He's just trying to
I
wake him
think
up.
he got mad. He got bumped. And he took offense to it. And it was.
Maybe
God, it's so bad.
Sure, he got a little mad, and I think he was like, more like, "Hey, like recognize, get the fuck off me." And
Know how
look, man,
fiery
like
he is.
everybody, like there's a pile of dudes, and now it's not what you want to see if you're the organization. The Bills are like, get him the fuck out of there. Don't let him be in the middle of that shit.
Right.
Like what? New. But the
And-
rest of the dudes on the team, they're going to see the fire. They're going to see the passion.
Yeah.
It's going to get them.
But look at Jordan Phillips. Okay, he bumps him and his hands instantly go up. and then your quarterback turns on you and just starts shoving you. Like, it was an accident, first of all, and he barely touches him.
He a big
Then
boy,
you can just calm the fuck right down, Josh. You're not
Yeah,
winning.
turn around, shake your defensive lineman's hand. Be like, bro, yeah, that was an accident. Now
Hey, that's how
he
Andrew
runs
Luck
him
acted.
over. Oh yeah,
That's how Andrew Luck acted, and it did, he's trying to make it longer.
Right.
it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it just came off a little soft. Like, I've seen Josh Allen take some big hits and just
I mean,
stand up.
Look, dude, the dude at the end, you see the dude kind of, throw a little into him. And I think maybe Josh was responding to that,
Yeah.
saying like, dude, come on. We know you're in the way. I'll bounce off of you.
And I
don't
like
gotta,
Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think he's fine. Every single one of his teammates loves the shit out of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So let's move
I
on
think
to
it's just him
softness,
trying
out of the
to.
softness into some more softness. We
Yeah.
got the new Guardian
it, though.
helmets.
Yeah. Some people have issue.
And
with those
I
things.
don't understand it.
How dare you try to extend their careers?
So
Right.
do you probably if you have the Jason Kelce,
I
thing at
don't have
training
that
camp where
pulled up.
and just edit it in maybe or
Yeah.
don't.
I'll
Anyways, he
try
wears
to find it.
he wore bubble wrap around his helmet, around the already extra padded helmet
Yeah.
Yeah.
to signal like, isn't this fucking thing looks so silly? And when you watch the Chiefs highlights, they look like
They look
goddamn Ronald
silly.
McDonald out there running around. It looks like a big old red wig on. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
It
But
looks
I get
silly,
it for the
but-
safety part. Yeah, I get it for the safety part. I understand. Robert Salah.
You got to look
Said-
fucking cool in practice. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Do
Well, all the way through week 2 of preseason, right? I think those three
Yeah,
sets of
through 2 weeks at least.
yeah.
Robert Salah.
Wait, they're gonna
said-
wear them in games?
Just the first 2
No,
weeks.
I don't think they're wearing them in games, are they?
I thought that's
thought it
what I
was just
read was
training
the
camp.
first 2
Oh.
weeks of preseason.
Everybody?
I thought
No,
I thought that's just
it's
the-
tight ends and linebackers.
that's just
And
the time
linemen.
throughout their practice and training camp that they have to wear.
Okay,
them.
so I might have
Basically, those
misread
first
that,
two.
but I swore I read
I was
through
like,
the first
dude,
2
that's
weeks.
wild.
No, they're
They're
not
putting
going
those
to
in
put that in
games,
games.
and they're soft floating the idea of putting these in every game.
But yeah, no, they're not. They're not going to do that. They can't. Look at those fucking
I've
things.
got
No, you can't go out there
a
looking like
quote.
that.
I've got a quote from Rams offensive lineman David Edwards. He said, "I think that you're always trying to be as safe as possible when you're playing this game. Any little thing that can prevent injuries or make the game safer, why not try it?" And I 100% agree with that.
That is
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna-
CTE is like starting to really come out, and like, we've seen what
There's
CTE
no real
does to
reason not
people.
to, man.
Yeah.
Robert Salah tried to say like, oh well, if we're using these in training camp and stuff, then the dude like he's not going to really feel a real hit until he gets into the game, and I think it's good for him to like maybe be prepared for that. Before that's essentially
But all it's
his
protecting is your
argument with,
head.
like-
Right. They
I
never
know.
taken a hit before they came to the NFL.
Right.
I know. Well, he's saying to get into the season, we first want that pop, which it is. It's.
Well,
I don't agree with it either,
I
but
think
Well,
he
you
also,
I'm
win
also
something,
not
that's
in the
better.
league. I'm
he
not.
also said something
Maybe you
about,
do want to get
um,
hit.
he also said that he was afraid too that DBs they'd get used to these players wearing these helmets and they would start hitting helmet to helmet. And I'm like, why? Why would they be doing that? Because they know that's going to be a penalty anyway.
Yeah,
So why would
you
you
gotta
want to do
coach-
that just because of the helmets on?
You got to
I-
coach that
yeah.
out if you see that. If
Yeah.
you see him trying to do that shit just because they have these helmets on, you got to be like, hey, no. Although you would think like now they have a bigger target, so it's going to be harder to like not
Right.
helmet it sometimes.
I don't know. It just
I
it
don't know.
bugs me. I mean, there's
I
a soccer
and you got
goalie
guys
that-
who are always gonna have the older guys. They're always gonna be a little reluctant to some of this stuff and be
Yeah.
like, dude, I've been playing this way my whole career. Why I gotta like
I've been taking
use
pops
helmets?
forever.
a
It's
little more
fine.
convenient. Yeah, and they showed like, the NFL's like chief medical officer came on the McAfee show talking about him, letting them know like, hey, we do a lot of studies. These helmets also help us like we got a lot of sensors in there to be able to like track
Yeah,
the
data
hits and,
tracking.
data
Yeah, that's why I-
exactly.
Love it.
So yeah, there's good reason for it, of course. So
right.
especially at this time, there's no reason not to do it. Like you're in
I
training
mean,
camp.
yeah.
Get the
And
fuck
for
over
God's
it.
sakes, like players wear the least amount of padding I've ever seen now.
Right.
Like
Well, it's slimmed down.
the pads are so minimal now.
The chest
Yeah.
pads and stuff like they said they're also working on that too, because there's never really been a ton of studies done with like shoulder pads and chest pads that,
Yeah.
of any significance. So
Protect yourself.
you
at
could
all
see a
times.
lot of changes with the paddings coming up.
It's like, boxing
the-
has said it for years. Protect
Do I-
yourself. Boxing has said it for years. Protect yourself at all times.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit different
Well, but I
as
mean,
you're
also you're going
purposely
with
doing it, but-
boxing. You're going with the one sport that probably has more head
Sure,
trauma and
right.
CT than
Hey,
than NFL.
there I can take it to soccer, and Arsenal's goalie for his whole career, he wore a helmet that looks just like this. It's just not huge because he's not wearing it over another helmet.
Oh, Petr check.
Yep. Better check. He wore, is he still an active player?
It probably in a lower league somewhere. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Well, he wore that helmet. I always found it kind of silly looking, but good on him. He was always protect. I mean, they say that his cap isn't near as sophisticated as the caps that the Guardian caps are. They're not going to protect you from a concussion, but they do help you for like if you're being kicked in the head and when you dive on a ball in a pile of people. So
Yeah.
Why not?
why not?
So moving on, we'll talk about the dumbass in Dallas,
Which one?
Jerry Jones.
I know.
The
Always Jerry
the
Jones.
dumbass is
Yeah, but
running the
there's-
organization.
The sixth most wealthy owner in the NFL.
Right.
Ask Jerry, he'll
yeah.
tell you he's the most wealthy. But he said Ezekiel Elliott has to be the focus in the Cowboys' rushing attack.
Does he?
Yeah, he says there
He
is
does, no, he
room
doesn't. He doesn't at
for-
all. But your owner's a big dumb dipshit.
There is room for both Elliott and backup running back Tony Pollard on the field at the same time. I mean, Elliott did have a 4.2 yard per carry last year, but it was his third lowest of his career. His 287 receiving yards were the second fewest of his career. He had 1,002 yards, 10 touchdowns. So yeah,
And he was hurt some last year, wasn't
Is that 17 games? Career low 58.9 rushing yards per game after leading the NFL in that category in
he?
each
I
of
thought
his.
Zeke wasn't hurt last year. Zeke was hurt last year. Come on.
He was rehabbing an injury in the off season last year.
Yeah. I mean, those just aren't the numbers you expect whenever you're talking about a guy on
Well, no, and
by set contract he's on.
what were Pollard's numbers last year?
Pollard had rushed for 719 yards with only 2 touchdowns, but at 5.5 yards per tote. And he had 39 catches for 337.
I'll take that, dude.
And
Yeah, 5.5 yard average. Come on.
And I mean, he's ascending. Like he's been getting better over the past couple of years.
So yeah, why?
and
you know,
Zeke's just been dropping off. I was
Zeke
thinking-
might not be the best running back on your team.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, I just think that he's the most expensive running back on their team. So
Yeah.
Jerry's like, I'm
I-
going
he's-
to use it.
Right. He's trying to defend his decision
Yeah.
like he does all the fucking time.
You know, it's like whenever you buy something and your wife or girlfriend's just like, you know, that you aren't ever going to use that. You don't need that. You're like, yes, I am. I'm going to
Right.
use
You're justified. Yeah, he's
it.
trying to
And
justify.
you're stuck
it.
and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm going to use it every now and then.
I can't believe I paid that much for this shit.
It's like my
And
3D printer.
who-
It's kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. We've all made that purchase,
Dude, yeah.
you know, so.
Because you're
Yeah,
realizing
but
like you
Ezekiel
play
Elliott is-
you paid premium money to a running back when nobody's paying any money to running backs.
I will say in their defense at the time, I mean, Todd Gurley had signed. Was that right around the same time they signed him to a big contract? So at least somebody, and I think
Has Christian McCaffrey signed like
Chris McCaffrey signed a big deal.
didn't he get his okay.
I'm trying to think of what his name is.
Did the Panthers go ahead and pay McCaffrey again?
Not again, but
They paid him the one time.
they paid him a lot.
Yeah. I don't know how much he's played since he's been paid.
Not a lot.
No.
Not a lot.
I hope he does though. God damn, he's so
Dude.
fun.
It's a fun
Like,
talent to watch.
He's incredible to watch. He's the best guy on the field every time. Like
Yeah.
to see a dude who can play wide receiver and running back at an elite level. Like
Deebo Samuel. Just
there's a few more nowadays, huh? I
McCaffrey
don't
looks
know
like
if
he's
he
in great
is.
shape.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
from
man.
the pictures that have been posted
'Cause if-
online, he
I
looks
mean,
good.
if he gets hurt again, if Saquon gets hurt again, like you're looking at guys who,
Yeah.
when do you hang it up? Or you just because rehabbing every single fucking offseason takes a toll.
Yeah. Dude, that would suck.
That's why Luck retired early.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Let's move on to
Dude.
NBA. I think we have run out of
we
things
have
to talk about. in the
exhausted the NFL. There we go. There's our show on the NFL.
NFL. Yeah.
I mean, I think we got to start with Bill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Russell passed away today.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Greatest of his time. I mean, it's
I mean,
played in a very different era, so it's hard to compare him to anything now. But
Pioneer,
11
I mean-
championships is just he dominated the league. He
first
was the league.
African American head coach of a professional team in any sport in America.
Dang. Okay, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
any sport. All right.
Yeah. Of all the major sports, he was the first. And he was a champion at that. He's a 2-time Hall of Famer as
Yeah.
a coach and a player.
Yeah, as a coach. All right.
So, and then a philanthropist. He fought for people's rights.
He did. He did.
He, from everything you hear about him, he was a great person. So,
Yeah. I mean, legendary human being.
legendary human being all around, not just as an athlete, but as a person.
As a person as well.
It is sad to see Bill Russell pass.
It
It
is
was
very-
nice to see that his wife was by his side.
Mhm.
And that he lived a good long life.
He
I
lived
mean,
a good
is-
long life, and
88 is, if I can make it to 88,
I could consider that a win.
I can say,
absolutely.
yeah. So he got to live a great life, and did a lot of great things.
Yeah, dude.
A lot of great things for civil rights. A lot of great things for the sport.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Sad day, but
Very sad.
lost another legend.
And then next up on the palette would be KD and Kyrie and
Where they
where
be?
they're gonna be. Yeah.
It's just
Are they gonna stick around? Nets gonna keep them? No, Nets gonna Like,
there's not been a lot of
try to-
talk on this front about where either of them go. I mean, I just don't see. That's a
Other
hard
teams
package to come up with for
dropping
KD.
in and out.
Honest question. Is it weird that like these are two like what probably top 7 players in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Probably. And they can't find a place to go.
I mean, it's asking price because I mean, like any team out there.
Isn't there a max?
What's that?
Isn't there like a max that you can make in the NBA?
Money.
Yeah.
It's so what it is that they're trying to be traded. So they are both under
Okay,
contract with the
okay.
Nets, and the Nets asking price is astronomical for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be a lot of picks.
That's probably gonna be 2 firsts, right?
Dude, I mean, Rudy Gobert added 5 first-round picks for the
Yeah.
Jazz. So I mean, you look at Kevin Durant. I mean, the asking
did?
price has to be somewhere close. They want first-round picks, all-star caliber players that are young and ascending. And any team that wants to acquire Kevin Durant
Yeah.
probably envisions him playing next to
Those
a
young
ascending
ascending
They already
players.
all-star.
You
you know?
you got to sell the farm. to
Yeah,
get
so
Kevin
it's
Durant.
It's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be a team that's already a contender that doesn't mind losing picks.
yeah. I mean,
It's gonna have to be a win now.
but I mean, Phoenix is pretty much out of the conversation because of
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton.
which is why people can still speculate on Golden State, just because Golden State
Golden
has the
State has had
picks.
internal conversations about it.
Golden State would also have to give up Poole at least.
Poole, Wiggins,
Looney, maybe
draft picks,
in a package
Moody.
deal. Yeah, like
Well, that's the thing. Like, as
Lee
a
Wiseman.
team, you want to give up a bunch of assets like that
Yeah, I mean, especially the Warriors, because
for a
why would
player
you? You
that
just
is,
won without
from
it.
what I've seen, has proven multiple times that he cannot do it on his own.
yeah,
Like
and I think a lot of the problem that KD is capable of doing it with a teammate of Kyrie's caliber. It's just that Kyrie's unreliable.
yeah.
You know, you can't rely that Kyrie's going to go through the whole grind of the season with you. And I mean, even to the other extent, the other member of their proposed big three with KD and Kyrie would be Ben Simmons, who missed all of last season dealing with mental health and back issues. So, and there were a lot of questions about whether those mental health issues were legit or just fabricated to get him out of Philadelphia. So now that's unreliable as well.
Yeah.
So now your two best players surrounding Kevin Durant are not reliable, and Kevin Durant has a ruptured Achilles. You know, so I mean, he's not going to play 82 games every season, and if he is, then by the time the postseason comes around, he's going to be gassed. He needs that help.
That's true.
So I think that for him, it's just he picked the wrong person to team up with. I mean, he ditched the Warriors because he didn't like the criticism he got. And I mean, you look at it now and you're like, man, should have probably just deleted your Twitter.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, I know he wants to
all of
prove
your
he could do it.
Twitters.
He wants to prove he could do it by himself.
Yeah, and I mean,
You're like, what? You don't need to do it by yourself. Nobody's done it by themselves. What the fuck are you talking about?
Could it turn out that the two of them are just fucked and have to stay in Brooklyn?
yeah, I mean, Kevin Durant on
for
a recently signed deal that has 3 or 4 years remaining on there.
Yeah.
KD,
So there's
yeah,
no rush to trade KD without the right deal in place. Kyrie, because of him missing
He's
all
only
this
there for
time,
one
doesn't
more
have
year,
a
right?
market.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're talking about a max player. Yes, it's an expiring deal, so that's attractive, but it's a max deal with a 5% trade kicker. So once he gets traded, if he chooses to exercise that, it's more than the 37 million that it looks like on paper. You add 5% to that when he's traded. So that's a lot of money unless it's a team for a playoff team to do. Because I don't see him being trusted by them, but a team, you know, that's middling and kind of just has a fan base that they want to reinvigorate.
Make a little money off the
Yeah,
big
I
money.
mean, obviously this screams the Sacramento Kings because it's a bad deal. You know, typically whenever you're talking about bad trades, you look at the Knicks and the
Can you imagine if Katie went
Kings.
back to California, but as
they don't have
as a
near the
King?
asset collection to acquire KD. I
They're
think that they
like-
would do something stupid like trade DeAndre. You know, I would think they would trade Fox for Kyrie
yeah.
because they are a terribly run organization.
Just bring them back home.
Yeah. We'll say that every week until it happens.
Yeah.
But
Hashtag bring them home.
yeah,
Bring the Kings back.
you know, a team like maybe the Thunder would be willing to make that trade for him if they can get some draft picks as well. But that would also I think KD has to be moved for Kyrie to be moved. Because I don't think Brooklyn's going to trade Kyrie unless they trade KD first. Because why further piss off KD if you can't find a partner for him? Try to win. I mean, they say winning cures all, so go out there and if you don't get the right deal, keep him on the roster and hope that your team looks a lot different with Ben Simmons. There's no regulation right now against the unvaccinated in Brooklyn. So Kyrie should be able to play all the games.
You can play every game.
Yeah.
No excuses.
You'll actually have, you know, I like Patty Mills off the bench. It's not a bad roster. It's just, it looks terrible without those two. Because you got Joe Harris also coming back from injury. So
Sure.
worst case scenario, they go out there and they make the playoffs. And
Yeah, but if they're a dud in the first round again, or just
yeah. I mean, but Kobe
come on.
demanded a trade from the Lakers. That didn't never come. You know, I mean, just because they demand it doesn't mean it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, Katie just signed that deal last
Yeah.
year. Like, man, maybe stick it out a little.
Yeah, go through it, but I get that you don't want to. You're Kevin Durant. You don't want to waste these
There's not
peak
many
years.
years left to waste. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
you got to do something.
Well, you know, speaking of KD being a top player, he made Nick Wright's top 50 players of the last 50
Should.
years.
he absolutely should.
He's number 13,
Probably too
but
low.
that's not what we should talk about.
Oh, too low. Yeah.
He released number 2. I gotta say I was wrong. He put 2, Kareem. I thought for sure he was stealing a guy named Laszlo's take, like he always does on his show.
You did mention Laszlo on.
I did.
show.
Well,
last
you know,
week,
like
or was it this? Was it
yeah,
today?
it might have been last week. I mean, hey, Laszlo is now a syndicated show, so he's on in
Yeah,
Vegas.
but he
He's
didn't say
on
he's
in-
like my friend Laszlo. Anyways,
yeah. Well, no, he never mentions he rarely mentions Laszlo's name
did,
on
though.
his show, but yeah, he does. He did
He
mention
did.
it recently.
But
He does
yeah.
steal, and he comes on Laszlo's show and admits that he steals a lot of his takes. So
Yeah.
he gives Laszlo credit that he's where he is today for stealing those takes. And Laszlo's always said Kareem's number 1. So I thought for sure he was stealing another Laszlo take.
No, he had his own idea. He definitely maybe put Kareem
Nick,
ahead of
Nick
Jordan
Wright's way
because
too hot for LeBron to not put him number 1.
Yeah.
yeah, he really is.
I mean, it's his favorite
It's gonna
player.
be-
So
No.
Interesting. It was fun, listening to him go through Kareem's career, which was, vast and incredible. But it's
I
still.
mean, Kareem has records that'll
Mhm.
never be broken.
He
but-
does, and he was unstoppable throughout his college years, and
And like I said in text, he fought Bruce Lee.
he fought
des-
Bruce Lee.
he deserves
was a
to be up there.
He was a legendary man. Legendary man. But you just see Nick Wright having to do a lot of things to defend why he is better than Jordan, why he thinks he should be better than Jordan.
Mhm.
When you're like, and he's like, oh well, he was winning. He only won 2 finals MVPs. He should have won these other ones, like 2 other ones, but he did it, at 24 years old and 38, and Michael did it in a shorter time or whatever.
Yeah, I
and you're
saw
like,
that he's the
but he
38.
won 6, and he was like, and if somebody has like 10 gold medals and also another 6 silvers, because Kareem did it, or 4 silvers, right? Because Kareem went to 10 finals or something like that.
Yeah.
1 6, went to 4 others, and Michael only has 6 gold. You would say that the guy with the 6 gold and 4 silvers is better Olympian wise. You're like, well, Michael also got finals MVP all 6 times, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
every finals. And you've even said it in your own, you even said that Michael at his peak was better than both Kareem and LeBron. So you're trying to do this like, a longevity argument that
Yeah. He
doesn't
did
really
he did
hold
the
up.
argument too with the, at 38, Jordan came back to the Wizards and helped win them 40 games or whatever it was.
right, not get to the playoffs. Or
And
something.
Kareem at 38 was winning
finals MVP.
finals MVP. And it's like, okay,
and won another
but-
finals at like 40. But I mean, and Kareem was definitely dominating in great, of course, but he did have Magic Johnson next to him for for all of those Laker ones. Like,
Yeah. Well, people do also say, Michael had nobody around him, which isn't
true.
blatant lie. It's
which is a
yeah,
blatant lie. Of
what?
course he did. course
there's
he did.
people that will say
There was
that
just-
Michael didn't have people around him.
Those
There
people
was
are
just
stupid.
no
Yeah.
doubt who was the guy there. Like when you look at Kobe and Shaq and Kareem and Mike and Magic, you're not really a Batman and Robin conversation. It's more like they're on the Justice League and it's like
Exactly.
Batman,
It's
Superman,
Batman and
right?
Yeah.
There's not like a one guy over the other type of thing. Like it
I mean,
was.
Jordan was definitely the
Jordan-
Batman.
Jordan was definitely Batman and Pippen was his Robin. Like it
Mhm.
just was, and
Yeah,
then
right.
like,
But to not
And then-
he didn't have players like John Paxson, Steve Kerr,
Yeah.
Horace Grant.
Dennis Rodman.
right. Oh
mean,
yeah, for sure. They had
yeah, I mean,
guys.
It's insane when
Yeah.
people say it. It's
Yeah,
it's just
Steve Kerr hit big shots, but I mean, Steve
he
Kerr
wasn't crazy good, but he
Yeah.
hit the big shots when you needed him to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Kerr, is known for.
Speaking of Steve Kerr, did you guys see what Draymond said about he was watching film from one of the Bulls years, and he said that the Wizards definitely would have blown them out, and he said, but he's like, the funny thing is, if Steve Kerr was the coach,
The Wizards or the Warriors?
or the Warriors, I'm sorry.
That's what I thought.
He said that if Steve Kerr was the coach of that Bulls team, there would have been a lot more pick and rolls to Steve Kerr.
Of
Thought
course.
that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
Draymond's funny.
Mhm.
But,
he is.
I mean, do
Mhm.
you really win against Michael and the Bulls? I don't know.
Probably not, but different eras, guys.
Yeah, different
I
eras.
mean,
Oh,
it's a debate that you can't really prove.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's all we've got NBA wise.
So my thing with like Michael compared to LeBron, and I know it's just my thing, is like they're completely different players.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I always kind of lump LeBron more in with, Magic, even Oscar Robinson. I mean, just shit, he's even more similar to Karl Malone.
yeah.
Just frame wise, like the Michael. But Michael
LeBron's
just
kind of a freight train.
and I was younger when I was watching Jordan, so I didn't get that opportunity with LeBron, but I was like mesmerized when
Oh,
I
yeah.
see Michael play.
I mean,
MJ
it's
was like
you had to have a poster of MJ.
Larger than life.
yeah, was bigger than life. And I mean, I know LeBron is huge, but I never watched and was like super mesmerized.
Mhm.
I think the debate between Jordan and LeBron just comes down to how you watch games and how you judge, like just how you judge players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's definitely fair to say that Jordan had the higher peak, but the thing that makes me agree with, because of how I judge players, I agree that LeBron's the better player, is the longevity and the consistency over that time. Like that dude had, like, no matter where you put him, no matter who's next to him, that dude is producing at a high level. Always.
He is one of my big knocks
Always.
in the debate is that when it was Jordan's peak, it was always Jordan is the best, It wasn't open for debate. LeBron, there's a lot of debate like throughout his career. I mean, whether it's, when he first came in, Kobe, then it's then you have Kevin Durant.
Yeah, there's been
Giannis.
years. Giannis.
I mean,
Steph.
there
Steph
wasn't
has
a
kept him for the
there wasn't a
longest.
competitor on another team that you looked at with Jordan and be like, Jordan's got 6, but so does this guy.
Right. There was
LeBron,
nobody.
you're like, LeBron got 4, but Curry's got 4, and Curry hasn't lost as many.
Yeah, and Curry beat LeBron more doing it.
Yeah, I mean, 3 of those were beating
Against
LeBron. I mean,
LeBron.
so that's my thing. Jordan stopped a lot of people from getting rings that were great. A lot
Yeah.
of great players
for sure.
never got a ring because of
Right.
Michael Jordan, like
Magic
Look at
could
that
have
Jazz,
gotten
that
6.
Jazz team.
Jazz. I mean, Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley with
Charles
Suns.
Barkley, yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, it took him retiring for the dream to get one, to
Mhm.
get his. So
Did the Pacers get one?
no, Reggie
Yeah.
didn't get one.
Reggie, yep. Those two were always fun to watch play
No.
each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's. I guess it does depend on what your criteria is, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But a lot of that too just comes down to like the circumstance of like exactly when that run of dominance happened. Like that dominance was 6 years. That's all it was.
No. He was great before that. I mean,
Oh,
He
he was
was- he
great
won
before
in-
that, but that
individually, he didn't have great teams around him and great coaches. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
have All
Yeah.
of it. And one of the problems with
'Cause
LeBron
he had
is
won as an MVP.
he's not patient with
really.
coaches. Yeah, I mean, he won MVP, won Defensive Player of the Year, all that stuff,
Scoring titles.
scoring
Yeah,
titles. all
I was
that.
talking more about the team dominance, like
Yeah, I mean,
because,
but
because the big argument always comes like about championships. Well, like that was a 6-year run of dominance.
but
And
sneaky.
like he
Over
kept
8 years where
kept
he
others from winning
retired in the middle of
championships,
it.
but those
Sneaky.
He
dudes were like,
retired in that, and he
Sneaky.
retired in the middle
real
of that
quick,
run.
real
And he
quick.
came back and still dominated.
A 6-year stretch is a large window. That's
That's huge.
huge. Like that's not insignificant. Think about how many great teams didn't do that.
Yeah.
Kobe
it
got
took
five.
yeah, for
Kobe
sure.
got 5 rings. Duncan got 5 rings, but it wasn't over. You know,
It took the
And it's-
Patriots like 17, 18 years to acquire 6 rings
yeah. Jordan
in that dynasty.
three-peated twice, which is incredibly
In a
hard.
row. He
Yeah, all by
retired,
himself.
three-peated,
No,
retired.
I'm not saying it's
came
all by
back,
himself. He had a great
three-peat.
team. I mean, he
Yeah,
had
the
great players, but
Bulls did that.
the Bulls did. But I mean,
But not without Jordan. Did you see him when they didn't have Jordan in the middle of that? Like he literally retired to prove it. He was like,
yeah.
look, I'm dominate the league. I retire. My
I
team
mean,
doesn't dominate. I come back.
is a
I
team
dominate for
sport.
3 years again. Come on.
Like football's a team sport, but Tom Brady gets a lot of the credit for the Patriots and even
Yeah.
the Bucks.
It's a team sport, but you got to have that guy that is going to push you over the edge.
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs are a really good team. We got Patrick Mahomes. Now we're a championship team.
Yeah,
What did it?
but besides the guy, like around that guy that puts you over the edge, you have to have the other players.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, that
for
last year,
sure,
Scottie
but-
Pippen missed the majority of it. Scottie Pippen was his number 2. I mean, Dennis Rodman had to pick up some slack,
Like, yeah, you definitely need a team. I don't think
and Scottie was unhappy there at the end for the second three-peat.
when Jordan had a team.
So
And we're like, you already said if Jordan is the best at his peak, then he was the best, right? Like he was.
And so like if it like no, I don't like I
He
don't
was,
I,
he was.
I don't
He was at his peak for fucking 8 years. You're tired of it? Like, come
Okay.
on, that's a long enough time. It's not like he was at his peak for 1 year, and we were like, oh, for 1 year, maybe he was the greatest ever.
mean, you think
It's like,
about
no,
this.
for almost a fucking decade.
LeBron played 4 years with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and then they also, had Mike Miller for 3 of those years, who was a quality player. Ray Allen
Mike's
on
the
those
first name,
teams.
which
Mario
I
Chalmers. was
appreciate
a-
that Mike is the first.
Mario
one.
Chalmers probably on the Steve Kerr.
Who was the best player
Level.
on that team?
If you ask Mario Chalmers, he will agree with that. Then he went from that to having Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving. Yeah, they were hurt.
That was
times.
Hey, that is a good argument for LeBron because I think LeBron has been able to win with maybe the worst team out of all these guys. Like, nothing against Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, but like
that Cleveland team was trash.
that Cleveland team wasn't the
They had
best.
no business
team.
had no business being there.
The one with Kyrie
him to be
Irving,
able-
Kevin Love, him.
For him to be able to take that team
When they
4
won.
years straight is pretty great. Like
the East
I
was
know,
a
but I
cakewalk.
don't think he
And
had
so-
quite the supporting cast that like Steph has had, like Jordan had, like the fucking Lakers teams were.
Hang
That-
on, Kevin
that
Love was a
Cleveland team-
walking double before he got there, where he would get like 20 points per game and like 18
What has Kevin
rebounds
Love
every
fucking
other
done
game.
since that? Sure.
He got
sure.
regulated to just being a 3-point spot up shooter. He wasn't allowed to play his fucking game. Kyrie Irving at that point in time, Kyrie Irving had the best handles in the league and was a over 20 point per game producer. Kyle Korver was hitting threes at an incredible clip. J.R. Smith had one of his better years the year they won. Richard
J.R.
Jefferson was a good on the bench type of guy, and I think he actually produced whenever he was out there.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
That was not a bad team.
But it's not Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and Iguodala. It's not.
Iguodala was the only player they
and
brought in.
Rodman and Pippen. It's not Shaq. It's
At that
not
point in
Not
time,
Phil
those
Jackson.
it's not Phil Jackson. You didn't have Phil Jackson through any of this shit. So you got to give him credit there. I'm not saying he's like
I'm not
clearly.
gonna give him
I'm not
credit for that. That
arguing that
team was
he's
not-
better than MJ. I'm just saying, look at this thing that you have to be like, hey man, those guys
Had he
didn't.
won it the year before,
I don't know
would
if
have given
those
him
guys
more
did it with
credit.
that. Those
If he had
teams.
won it the previous year when Kyrie was hurt and they had Matthew Dellavedova starting at
Did
point
it
guard and
against the-
Kevin Love was hurt.
He did it against the team that broke the record for regular season wins. He
Yes,
did it against a team
But
that was
wasn't
incredible.
a bad. You guys are saying that was like the worst team, not a good team. I mean, that wasn't the.
We're not saying it was a bad team.
Dirk
We're
Nowitzki
saying it's
beating
the worst. It's one of the more poor teams out of all of like the finals, out of all the championship teams. There's so many championship teams with a ton of great players, and they've just were maybe like, it was impressive to see LeBron carry those other guys with him.
Kyrie Irving was like scoring 30 points per game in the
Kyrie
finals
was
with
doing
him.
really well. I get it.
That year I wouldn't agree because, like, I mean, like I said, I mean, the Dirk Mavericks team, I mean, that's the most impressive.
I would say look at that
win.
Cleveland team before LeBron came back to it. I guess they only had Kyrie
Yeah.
for like a year or two.
But they traded
were
away a lot of those.
trash.
They traded away all that roster to fit it around LeBron. You know, I mean, they traded Kevin. Like I said, they brought in Kevin Love, who was a good player at that point in time.
The main point was like, I don't know if Kobe or Jordan. I think most of their teams were better and had a better surrounding cast than what LeBron had. Maybe not.
I will give you this: they all had better
champions,
coaching. They all had better coaching than LeBron.
They all had definitely better coaching.
But LeBron
And
might have had better coaching.
LeBron
Not got every good coach fired. Or every
LeBron,
coach.
he didn't with Spoelstra.
Because Pat Riley was smarter than him and wouldn't fire him.
Right. But it is,
LeBron
every place he's gone to, since his first trip in Cleveland, anyways, every place he's gone to, he's been able to go and win a championship with a different cast, the bubble counts. What the fuck are you talking about? The bubble don't count. Get off that. He's been able to win with a different cast of guys each time, different coach, different set of players. You got that is pretty impressive too. There's something to be said about that. I mean, Kareem was also able to do it with the Bucks and the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, the bubble, there was no fans there. A lot of players feed off of the fans in the crowd. You see a lot of players like Danny Green against the Heat in that final.
This is one of the most busted arguments I've ever heard come out of someone's mouth.
Have you ever? You need to watch the tape of you
because they were put on an even playing field the entire time.
I'm just
because
saying,
there wasn't a home field advantage and they were on an even playing field the whole time is why I should believe that doesn't count. That
Heat team making it to the finals with Kendrick Nunn playing major minutes.
Why are you sad about it?
I'm just saying, like, it wasn't.
Does that not count for the Heat getting there? Is that
an asterisk here? The bubble was an asterisk. You stop play for 3 months. You bring them back. You don't even allow the team that was the best team in the whole restart.
That is questionably hard. That team wasn't going to beat the Lakers that year. It was cool. They should have let them keep going, but that Suns team, they weren't.
I don't value the bubble. A lot of people don't. It is an asterisk year.
That's a weak argument, man. That's maybe even harder to come back and have to do it a different way. Like, you have more going against you. Like, I don't know, man. Come on. He's got his 4. Don't try to whittle it down. I don't like that.
I mean,
you can, obviously, you have your argument. You can.
Yeah, my argument is you're not going to change my opinion. Especially in 2 minutes. I watched it. I watched the play. I'm just going to say, players.
If all of a sudden you can't play ball because fans aren't there, then
what the fuck is that?
Like, how good of a player are you in the first place?
Like I said, players
get the fuck out of here.
The energy in the arena. You fucking know that. You've watched enough sports to recognize that players feed off of the arena,
dude. So you had to get into a place where there weren't fans, but it still doesn't mean that the games were meaningless. Like, they're very important games. You had to go.
They were meaningless, Sam. I didn't say that. I just said that it's an asterisk here. I mean, it was just there to appease us because we wanted sports. That's all it was there for. I mean, they did a good job proving that they could stop COVID and by not letting these people go in and out. But yeah, I mean,
this never comes up if the Lakers didn't win that year.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it definitely would. I would probably
the
be
Heat-
heavier on it if the Heat had won
You're
it.
legit the first person I've ever heard say that.
Then you don't watch
The
enough
asterisk here.
basketball news. You don't watch enough to
I-
talk about basketball.
Yeah, I don't hear. I maybe have heard it some, but I don't hear a lot of people press it. I don't hear too many people try to.
Especially with the way the
take it
Lakers have
for
looked
LeBron.
since and before that year, it's been talked about a lot.
Yeah, but they were good in the regular season. It's not like it came out of nowhere that year. That was the one year they actually were like, yeah, they could
Yeah.
win it that year. Like, sure, the first year they're not so great. The years since, yeah, but in the regular season they've been
All right.
shite too.
Let's. All right, P.
Popular.
Question of the week.
Question of the week. Who is going to outperform their new contract and who's going to underperform their new contract between DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel? And hey, as always, if you made it to this point in the video, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
If
you
you
a
made
lot.
it this far, you should give us a like, probably comment and subscribe
Mm-hmm.
and turn on the notification bell.
And re-examine your life choices.
Yeah.
There's got to be some comments about that dumb asterisk opinion. Jesus Christ.
I
The
know.
dumb-
And as always, we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.